Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, today I have for you the Leyi, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it. This is the Elefant stroke Ferdinand, the German World War II SPG. Now Leyi, I'm going to call him Leyi, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Leyi have just released in the last few weeks a rather large amount of military brick models, and I've been asked by a few people what I think of them and will I be doing them. So I have got quite a few of them. This is the first of them. So we're going to do the usual format. We're going to do a 60-second speed build, we're going to do some pics, and then we'll get into a review. Let's crack on and build. Welcome back. Right, now bearing in mind that I bought a few of these Leyi models, I can't say I was terribly impressed when I received it and started this one, took it out of the bag and was left with this, basically an A3 sheet. Now it's not the greatest. It's you can work it out, and it's perhaps not for the faint-hearted, this, because it is quite small and there are quite a few areas where it is very difficult to see exactly where your bricks are supposed to go, and it's one thing that's what they do quite a lot, is obviously those bricks go on top of those bricks which go on top of those bricks, and there's arrows to them. That's all well and good until you start getting into the really built-up bits of the vehicle, in which case it's very difficult sometimes to see that there's actually an arrow. So there was quite a few occasions where I put a brick in thinking, oh, that's where it is, when actually that brick in the instructions is hovering and that there's a very faint arrow underneath that you didn't always spot. Yeah, I'm not a lover of these, as I'm sure you can tell, and if anything I would much prefer PDF. If they're not going to do a printed version in a book, I would much rather them do a PDF version that you can at least blow up to check these things. So that was not a good start, but it does work eventually. So as far as the model is concerned, there was nothing missing, which is always a good start. There was no warpage, no discoloration. The bricks do fit reasonably well. There was quite a few though that probably a good dozen, 15, where there was extra flashing on it, which I ended up having to remove with a knife. And there was one wheel trim, let's say, down there, that as I put it on did split. It wasn't quite right, and it really had to be forced on there, but it did split as it went on. However, it is on there and it's not coming off, believe me. So the overall building process on this, to be honest with you, if you've done a few models, you're going to find it a bit strange. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, this: whatever you're building, whether it's a tank, an armoured car, whatever it is, to start with, in ignoring this fighting compartment or if it's got a turret or anything, you are basically building a box. You're building 6 sides. So you've got the floor underneath, you've got the top, 2 sides, front and back. Except this one doesn't. This only has 5, because this has nothing underneath. Now, what that means, and although there are some Technic bricks there which do help matters, as you can see, that's basically that's what all the wheels are attached to. Now, that's all well and good, but what doesn't help is the slightly strange way that they go about the build process. So on occasions, and more than once, what you're doing, you'll be building a frame, and the frames, so you've got four bits or more, and you've got the bits down here are being held by 4 studs. That's all well and good. Bits down here all being held by 4 studs. Bit up there is being held by 4 studs. Bit up there held by 1 stud. And what that tends to mean is that things twist a little bit, and it's not then helped by with the next section. You would assume would go onto that corner. It doesn't. And it doesn't build up symmetrically either. So if you've put a whole load of bricks in on one side, let's say to build up this area here, on most models you would then go on the next section, you would do the same on this side, but you don't do that on this one. You might do that there, and then you'll go to work at the back, and then you'll work on this side here, and then you'll work at a bit of the front, and then perhaps a little bit of the top, and then you'll work on this bit here. It's a bit of a scatterbrain, scattergun approach to building, which I can't say I particularly like, but I think I don't like it because it's not the normal way that we would expect to do something, and just because something is different doesn't mean to say it's wrong. It's just different, and for some people I'm sure they will be very happy about it. I'm going to see what the other vehicles are like, or the other models. I assume they're probably going to be the same, and it might grow on me. Who knows? And there are some nice little features about this. And so one thing I particularly like actually is the gun. It's on a ball and socket joint there, which is nothing particularly outstanding, but it's amazing. It always amazes me the amount of manufacturers, they put in all the detail and they get the proportions right and all this sort of thing, and then they put in something really shoddy to hold the gun in. It's something I've never really understood, because it's not a particularly difficult thing to do. It's not like you've got to spend a huge amount of time or energy or money to do it. It's a very basic thing, but yeah, the amount of manufacturers that just can't do it, it just amazes me. Anyway, we've got we've got stickers on the side rather than decals, and actually they are pretty good, I've got to say, certainly in comparison to the Abrams X and also the T14 Armata, which have the decals which usually are higher quality. These stickers are far better, and give enough life to it, but without taking over, which is good. There are a couple of fragile bits on here, as you can imagine, because we've got the angled sides at the top of the fighting compartment. Now, one thing that is quite nice is they have got the angles on the bits quite very good indeed, and they are quite solid. I mean, if I was to run that on either of the Jag Panthers that I've built, well, they would have now been 100 pieces all over the desk here. So they're pretty good. This, for want of a better word, this sort of frontal glacis here, yeah, that can be a little tricky. You basically have to get up inside it to push it up, but it does sag a little bit in the middle. And the other place is on these triangular corners on the fighting compartment. Basically, because you've got little bits of these that do stick out, they're very easy to catch, and therefore they will ping off quite easily. But apart from that, this is pretty solid. Now, you get two minifigures with it, two basic German soldiers. I can't say I'm in love with them, because I'm not a huge fan of the type of minifigure that comes with the two faces. It just, especially when you're given a helmet that doesn't cover the rear face, so you can still see, well, I can see quite clearly the face there at the back. It just annoys me a little bit. I'm sure it's just me. So now, how much did this cost me? This cost me £16.12, which I have to say, for the finished model, I don't think is bad. I'm not, as I say, convinced about the building process or building philosophy that is behind it. I personally, at the moment, think that it is a lot more difficult than it needs to be. But it's a different way of doing it. It's something I'm not used to, so I could be wrong on that. As I said at the start, I've had a few people who have been asking me to do the Leyi models, because the market seems to be flooded with these now. And there was one guy who did comment on one of the videos, and I'm afraid I can't remember your name or which video it was on, who's already done this one, and he didn't seem to enjoy it, from what I remember, and I can certainly understand why. Unfortunately, I can't remember what he thought of the finished product, which is a bit of a shame, because it would have been an interesting comparison. But the finished product, I have to say, overall, I do quite like. I think that they've made quite a good model with some trickier bits, with the, as I say, with the angles on the fighting compartment that some other companies have really made a dog's dinner about. So fair play to them for that. As I say, I've got more Leyi models here that have recently just arrived, so over the next however many weeks I'm sure we'll see more of them. So overall, you do get a good model from it at a reasonable price. It's just that the journey there is, it's different. I'm not going to say it's difficult, not in the way that some models can be, but it is different, and how difficult that is for you will depend on how well you take to a different way of building. I'm going to reserve judgment on that particular way of building for several models down the line, as I've got more of these Leyi models around. But it's a pretty good model, so there you go. It's a qualified good start to Leyi on their new venture into the military brick world. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again. You take care. Bye bye.